In this part of the video, what I'm going to show you is how to create a trellis, a vertical portion that will tie into the bottom of the rafter extensions that I have made. So this way the jasmine can actually climb up that. So what I plan to do is have a 2x2 in the middle with 1x1s, two 1x1s on either side that go vertically, that have horizontal ties every, I don't know, 8 inches, maybe 10 inches, maybe 12 inches. I hadn't figured that part out yet. So what I'm going to do is going to have a 2x2 that ties in somewhere in the middle of those 2x2s, 2x4s I mean, and then it's going to have to vertically pass across the front of this face. So it's not going to be up against this wall. It'll be a little further forward of this face. And then the 1x1s will be aligned with it, and then there'll be a 1x1 bar horizontal that's going to tie the 1x1s and the 2x2 into that, and then they will go straight up. So that is going to be on this side and also on that side as well. So for that, I basically have the 2x2. However, I could not find a 1x1 in Redwood, and so what I'm doing here in this setup is splitting my 2x4 into a 1x4, which then I will cut into 4 1x1s, and so yielding a single 2x4 will yield for me 8 1x1s. So this is the setup that I currently have. I'm halfway through. I've got a little bit more to go. I just wanted to stop the blade and show you my setup. So I've got a horse on the back side. I had a horse here in the front that was supporting it, and basically just running through. So let me get this split up. I've got the fence set up here. I did have a feather board that's pushing up against here, but I had to take it off just to so that I could show you what the screenshot looks like, or at least what it looks like without it in front of it. So that's basically it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish ripping this up, and once that is done, then I then plan on using a thickness planer to plane this down, because you're going to have some uneven faces along the way. So so this way it's going to be finished on both sides. So let me get this part done, and then we'll go down the road of ripping that into 1x1s. Okay, so this is what it looks like after it's been ripped. As you can see, it's a little rough. So I've got my thickness planer set at 3/4, and we're just going to mill it down so that I can get rid of these small ribs, and once that's done, then I will go ahead and rip it into 1x1s. Okay, so I've got the thickness planed, so both of them are equal thicknesses. As you can see, there are some areas where there is a little bit of saw blade marks, but I am going to keep this face on the back side, so I'm not going to sand it down any further. I think it's good enough. You can see some there, and then if you turn around here, you can possibly see some on this side right here, actually on this near the end. But overall, this thing looks pretty good, so I'm just gonna let it be. If you want to, you can always use a quick orbital sandal sweep up and down this board, and it should be ready. But I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting this out. I'll get 4 1x1 strips out of this and 4 out of here for a total of 8. So I need 4 on one column. I'll need 4 more on the other column. Okay, so to rip the 1x1s, I just wanted to kind of show you what the setup looks like. I've got my feather board, so I'm cutting it into 4 equal parts. What I did was I used the good edge against the fence, then I used a new cut edge, then I flipped the piece of wood over, and I'm doing the good edge now on that side, and I'm cutting the last cut in here, and you will see that it's going to be approximately 3/4 inches by 7/8. I'm ripping using the bandsaw only because I want to keep as much of the wood as possible. I could have used a table saw, but in table saw will take out 1/8 of an inch for the blade. I could get a thinner, but I don't have a thinner blade. Anyways, so I'm using the bandsaw for this setup. So let me get this thing cut. I've got 4 out of this one, and I'll get 4 more out of the other 1x4 that we ended up splitting from a 2x4. Okay, I've got my 1x1s cut up, so you can see them. I've also routed the edges. They look like pretty neat, skinny pieces of wood. I've also got my 2x2s cut out. It's basically a 2 by 1 3/4 or 1.5 by 1 3/4 exactly. It was just a 2x4 that was ripped down the middle. I've also gone ahead and changed my plan. I was going to put the 2x2 in the middle with 2 2x1s on either side, but I'm going to make it less sophisticated. It just looked a little too busy when I mocked it up against the column. So the column's 19 inches. I'm going to put one in the middle with about 6 inches of gap on either side. That'll give me, the crossbar should then give me about 1 inch overhang on either side. So the first thing I'm going to do now is set up the 1x1 with the crossbars. I'm going to make the ladder for that first. Once I'm done that, then what we're going to do is we're going to mock it up against a 2x2 vertically, because the 2x2s are approximately 9.5 feet tall, whereas the lattice that I'm creating is 8 foot tall. I do not know the vertical location of the lattice with respect to the ground and the soffit of the roof. So I'm just going to make the skeleton with the 1x1, which is going to be 1x1 with a top and bottom. That's going to be square, and then from there I'm going to mock it up on the 2x2. That's going to be in place. Once I've done that, then I'll figure out where to attach, and then from there attach the rest of the 1x1s on the back side. So that's what it looks like. So this is it. My next task, like I said, is going to be to make the 1x1 lattice. Okay, so I've got the first lattice made. We ended up using 10 horizontals altogether, of space at approximately 9.5 inches apart, or 9 3/8. I ended up using a brad nail 1 inch long. Ended up shooting 2 nails. Basically started from the bottom, and we did a 1 inch projection, put a 90-degree angle, shot 2 nails all the way up. Then we went to the other side and we set it so that we had a 2 inch projection at the top with a 2 inch projection with a 1 inch projection on this side. Made sure we had a 90-degree angle, and then we did the same thing, same procedure all the way down, making sure that all of them were 90 degrees with the horizontal slat, and that ensured us that we had a true vertical lattice. So now I'm going to go ahead and get the second one built. And FYI, this is not the side that we're going to see on the outside of the building. So the nail side is going to be towards the inside. So I'm going to do it a little opposite than what people typically do. So I wanted to keep the vertical feature on the outside of the house. So we're actually going to see it in that fashion. The 2x2 is going to go in the front. I may rethink that process. If that's the case, then the second lattice that I'm going to make, I'll make sure I nail from the other side so that the nail side is up against the house. So anyways, it's a trial and error for me. So originally I had planned on keeping the verticals on the outside, horizontals on the back side, but now that I think about this more and more, I think what I'm going to do is mock it up first, and since it's dark outside, I'll wait till the morning so that I can then get the second one built in the direction that I needed. Anyways, this is what it looks like. Alright, so I've got this mocked up here. As you can see, I've installed the 2x4 just in place. I have not screwed it in yet because I still need to finish the project, the product before I hang it up. So I've got the 2x4, the cross member right there installed, and then the 2x2 is, the center 2x2 is being held in using a clamp, and then the rest of the lattice has been attached. So let me see if I can step back to show you what it looks like. Right there. Just kind of give you an idea. Right now, that's what it looks like. It's going to be coming down. There it is. From the side of the house, you can see that's what it looks like. So that is going to be the connection at the top. I've nailed it in I've nailed the lattice to the 2x2, so it was pretty much, the height is set, and that's pretty much where I wanted it. And then we're going to, at the bottom, we're going to put a stake behind the 2x2. We're going to put a stake right there behind the 2x2, and then I'm going to nail or screw the 2x2 into that stake. So it'll be held in at the bottom at that location. I mean, it is going to rot over time, but you know what? I can always pull that stake out and put a new stake in, and then reattach it down the road when I need to. So that's the attachment I'm going to do. So it's going to be pretty much clear of the side of the house. It's going to be pretty much clear the face of the rock as well. So there's plenty of room for the vines to grow upwards, and hopefully from there I'll have to manually transition them to the lattice. So that's basically it. I'm gonna get the second side set up. Same thing, I've got a 2x4 right there that I've cut out. It's gonna go in there, and then I'll do the same thing, mock it up, hold the lattice in place with a clamp at one location, measure it from the top, then take it into my garage, and then nail the lattice onto the 2x2. And so once that is done, then I'm ready to apply the finishes to the different components that we have. And once that is done, then I can go in and install it finally. Okay, so here it is. This is what it looks like. It's mocked up. It's basically held in at the top by clamps. So I have 2 lattices and then 2 2x4s that I've got to join in to the system. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and now finish both of them, apply 2 coats of the finish, and then I'm going to be ready to install this stuff in its final position. I think it was a good idea for me to change the design from having 2 2x1s on either side of the 2x2. The 2x2, 2 of them would have made it look really busy, and so I think the horizontal spacing with the vertical spacing looks pretty neat. So it's a good decision. And the other decision that I made here was to flip the verticals on the inside and having the horizontals on the outside, and I think that was a good decision to do so as well. So just to kind of show you up close, you're going to see the brad nail heads. I think it just kind of adds an additional look, but I think they're more prominent right now, but as soon as I apply the finish, I think they're going to disappear on me, so they're not going to be as prominent. Right now this is not sticking out from the house, but as soon as I apply the finish, especially with the white background, it's going to basically stick out a lot more. And so that's basically it. So once I get the finish applied, I'm going to go ahead and install the 2x4s at the top, and then come in, place my 2 trellises, get those secured at the top, and then we will work on the bottom connection, and I'll talk more about that later on when we're ready to do so. Time to apply the finish. So here is the product with the first coat. As you can see, it looks pretty decent. I've supported it off of some nails, as you can see right here, here, and here. I do have some nails sticking out on an angle on the bottom, so just make sure when you are nailing, you make sure you stay in the wood and not outside. I've got the top pieces also coated. If you noticed, I ended up cutting one of the top pieces short, so I ended up using pocket screws on both sides to extend it. So just be careful when you cut anything, measure twice. It's the best thing that you could do. Otherwise you end up with wrong length members. It happens too often to everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and wait 24 hours before I apply the second coat. Once that's done, then we're ready for the installation process. FYI, I am using a Sickens product for the product. So it's a Sickens Prolux. It's a Cetol SRD. RE is for California, it just means reduced emissions. But I'm using the Redwood color. It is probably one of the best finishes out there that are good for outdoor use. So anyhow, I've got that. That's about it. So let me get the second coat done tomorrow, and then when I'm ready to install, I will show you what that looks like.